Welcome to Kessler Makes Stuff, and today I'm going to go over how I wire my animatronic iMech. So what I'm using is an Arduino Uno. This is an Elegoo Uno. You can use any sort of Uno equivalent that's out there. You can buy a bunch on Amazon. There's also a PCA 9685. This is a servo board. You can use any sort of momentary button. You can use this joystick, which I'm using as a KY023, and then you want to use a 2000 mAh or 4.8 volt battery. So the first thing you're going to do is I am going to go over connecting your thumbstick. So what I'm going to do is connect this 5 volt right here all the way to this plus 5 volt here. So I'll demonstrate that here, where I'm going to take this 5 volt right here and I'm going to connect it to this 5 volt here. So that's basically your power. And then I'm going to take the ground here, and this is going to come over here, and it's going to connect to your ground there. So I'm going to take this wire, plug it into this ground, plug it over here into this ground, which is the first pin. And then, and you may hear some thunder because it is storming like crazy outside. So if you hear that, that's what that is. So we're going to take A0, and this is going to go to your VRX. So this is going to go here. We're kind of going to go this. Goes right into there. So we'll take your wire here. This is going to be the A0. And then this is going to go to your VRX. If I can get it on that pin. There we go. All right, and then we are going to go from the A1 and we're going to go to your Y. So this is your VRY to there. So we'll go from A1 and we're going to go to the VRY. So this is basically your left and right, up and down of that joystick. That's the X and Y coordinates. And then we're going to take the SW, which this is what you use. You can actually click into this joystick. So this is actually number 3 over here. And this is going to go from here to your SW. I know this is kind of a mess of wires, but that's kind of how it goes. So I'll take this 3 here, and this is going to go into your SW. So that is basically your joystick is all plugged in and ready to go. So I'm going to move on to the servo board, which is this PCA 9685, and I'll link to all of these products in my description, and you can go out and buy them yourself. Really, Amazon has them for pretty cheap. Like, you can get these in like counts of 5 or 10, and it's pretty cheap. I think the most expensive part that you're going to spend on is the Arduino. So we're going to do another 5 volt here. So this 5 volt in particular is going to come over here, and you're going to plug it into your VCC. So I'll do that here. There's a couple 5 volt outputs here. Oh, let me make sure I've got that right. I've got 2 different Arduinos that I'm using, and this one may not have the second 5 volt, which would be number 2. So if you're using this Elegoo R3, I'm not sure I would suggest that. I would go ahead and get the actual Arduino So on my actual Arduino here, it's in the second one, and it actually still might work. I'm not really sure, but this will go to your VCC on your servo board. And then you will take your ground. So you have this secondary ground here. That's going to come over here, and it's going to come to your ground. So this one does have two grounds on it. So we'll plug that in here. And we are going to plug that into your ground on your board, which is the first pin here. All right, and then we're going to go from A4. So this A4 is going to go to your SDA. So we're going to come around here. We're going to plug it into that right there. So we'll go from your A4. And this is specific to my code. There's probably other ways to do this, but this is specific to the code that I have, which I will link also in the description. There's a drive folder that I'm going to share that has that information in it. So this is going to go to your SDA, which is right here. And then you'll go from A5, so A5 here on your board, and it's going to go to the SCC. So that's going to come over here and plug into there. And eventually this is just going to be a complete mess of wires. So we're going to go from A5 to your SCC, which is right here. And then the last thing, well, one of the last things we're going to do is the momentary button. So I don't have a way to connect this right now, but I'll just show you how this kind of works. So I'm not going to move this over. So we're going to take actually number 2 here. So this is going to be your wire that goes to this terminal, and either one of these is going to be fine. So like I said before, you can kind of either use this one or this one. It doesn't matter. With the one that I have, it only has 2 terminals, which is really easy. So I actually got this one. Let me show this again. I actually got this one from Ace Hardware. It's kind of expensive. You can get these on Amazon for pretty cheap, because like they're not as big and chunky, but they're like, I think they're like $9 for like 5 of them or something. So you might want to do that instead of going to Ace. This was like $9 at Ace. So definitely suggest trying to go a cheaper route with that. But you're going to take number 2 here, connect it there, and then you're going to take a ground and you're going to connect it to the other terminal there. So like I said, I don't have anything to connect there right now, but you go from 2 here on your board. Let me get that picture here. Number 2. And then you would just connect that. Maybe I can actually push that into here. Yeah, that'll work. And then you would take your ground. Yeah, it's not gonna stick. You take your ground here, and you would plug it into the other terminal on the other side. But like I said, I suggest getting one of these momentary buttons from like Amazon that only has like the 2 terminals. It's way easier to use. You don't have to really do any soldering. You just kind of screw it on there. So that is how I wire my iMac. So there's one step that you have to continue to do here. So this is the battery for this servo board. So what you'll do here is you're going to take your plus. So there's 2 wires that come out here. So you're going to have your black, and you're going to have your red. So you're going to take your red, and put it in the positive. And then you're going to take your black and you're going to put it in the negative. You're going to be hooking up your battery here, and then you'll either power this via your USB cable, or you're going to use a power adapter. And let me make sure I have the rating for that power adapter correct, because I don't want to say the wrong thing. Let me look that up real quick. That power adapter is going to be either 7 volt to 12 volt DC output, and it's a it's like 5.5 millimeter plug. Really, you can just go to like Adafruit's website and you can buy those, I'm pretty sure. So that's how you can power it, either with your USB or with a power adapter here. So that's basically how that all works. I'm gonna move this out of the way. This is kind of like a baking show. I've got something that is already plugged in and ready to go. So here is my mess of a controller. As you can see, I need a lot longer of wires to plug into here. But this is basically like 80% to the finished product. I used a model from a different maker that I will link in the description. His name is escaping right now, but I will have a link to his website. I took his controller that he had made, and then I remodeled it to fit all of these components inside of here. So this has the joystick, this has the PCA 9685 in it, as well as the button here. So this will control the iMech. What I did not go over, and I'll go over that now, where let me just move this over without all these wires in it. So here's your servo board, and here is the iMech. I'm going to go ahead and unplug all the ones that I have in here, so I can show you how this all hooks up. Alright, so here's my iMech, and under here I've got lids. This is the left and right movement of the eyes, and this is the up and down movement of the eyes. So how I connect this is, for the lids, I'm going to be using these first two ports. So make sure you have your colors lined up, black on the bottom, yellow at the top, and you slide that right in there. If it wasn't bent. So this is actually just a practice board that I have. So there's a little mess up on it. And then, so here are the go over this again. These are the lids. I'm going to take these two wires and it's going to go to the first two boards here. So the position of these are going to be really important for your code, because your code is going to define which servo does what. So we'll get into that here in just a second. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to hook up are the left and right movements. So we're going to go ahead and connect it here. My other servo board is so much easier to put these things in. Like, all of these pins seem to be kind of bent. It's interesting. So hook that up, I'll hook this up. And then last, you will do the up and down movement. So it's these two. So that will go into the last, these inputs here. So you'll connect those. And these pins are all over the place. I'll connect that one. And then I'll connect this one. So that's all you need for your mech. And that is all connected within this mess. So that's all connected in here. And I'll show a picture of how it looks inside here for a second. And then what I'll do is kind of get into the code and show you how this all works. We'll go through the kind of basics here. So why this is important is on your servo board, you're going to have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are the locations on that board that I showed you. So what is important is if you put these in the wrong ports, your eyes are going to go all wonky. So it might be a little trial and error because this is not like plug and play. You're going to have to, if it does kind of go wonky, you're going to have to just swap out those inputs, or you can come in here and just change the number here to whatever input that it should be. So 0 to 1 are your lids, 2 to 3 are your pan, and then the 4 to 5 are your tilt. And then we're also defining, this is your thumbstick basically. So this is going to be the A0, which is your X, A1, which is your Y, which I went over and how to plug those in. Your joysticks on the third input on your Arduino, and then number 2 is your input on Arduino. So this is your push button for your lids, and this is joystick click in. And then through here, I've got it where you will be moving the eyes left and right, moving up and down. You can change the speed here. So this is actually your speed of how fast they'll move left and right, up and down, lids blinking. I made the lids go pretty quick. So what I've done with the joystick button is that if you want the eyes to close without opening, because the button itself will just make it blink. If you want it to close for a period of time, you hold down your thumbstick button. So that's all in this code. I'm not sure there's much I really need to go in here, because this should basically get you where you need to go for this iMech. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and put all of this information in the description so that you can go ahead, and if you want to do this project, you can follow this diagram. I'll actually link to this other guy's website and YouTube because he makes basically the same iMech, just in a different configuration with the controller. He has his own PC board that he's made that has the joystick connected to it as well as the button. I just didn't want to go that route because I kind of wanted to do things my own way. I just kind of used his shell and his general idea and went from there. So this should get you to where you're going. You can kind of follow along with my previous video on the iMech of how I made that iMech. But yeah, that is how you can hook up your Arduino, you can hook up your thumbstick, and you can hook up your servo board and your button. And hopefully that was really easy to follow. And just let me know in the comments if you have any questions. And yeah. So here's the finished iMech. There's some tweaks I need to do for this particular one. The left and right kind of move kind of strangely, just because the linkages of how I made the back of these iMechs. I'll tweak that later on and make them work perfectly, but this is just kind of an example of the whole thing working. So you'll take your joystick here and you'll have your left and right, which is your X. And then you have your Y, which is up and down. So we'll move all around. And then with your joystick, you can press it down to hold. So this is holding your eyelids closed. And then this button here is just a momentary blink. And you can do everything together. And if you want to close your eyes, so if you're holding this down, this does nothing. You can change it in your code if you want, but really, I'm not sure why you would need that, because you could just do this and just do some blinks if you wanted to, like hold it down and do some blinks. But yeah, that's the whole thing working. Hopefully you have luck with yours. But yeah.